body is created as a spring, or many springs working together as one whole universal spring, which also is helping to augment the movement of the breath as the diaphragm rises and falls. That creates a two-way process, that it's connecting every breath to each movement and connecting the movement to the breath.
Well, so, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you showed me something really illuminating. It was two photographs, a healthy infant and an infant that had some sort of brain damage. And in the healthy infant, the diaphragm was differentiating.
Yes, the body is segmented.
The body was starting to have form.
Yes, flexibility, and yes, it has postural stability and flexibility. If you are a lump, you fall over very easily and you have no flexibility. But the point also of the lump is that because it compresses your spine, your shoulder girdle, your pelvis, it's also compressing blood supply to the nerves, which would operate your shoulders, your pelvis, all the musculoskeletal components. So gradually.
Could I just say, I just want to finish this piece because it's important. So the child that had the brain damage and therefore couldn't really move well was not differentiating.
No.
And was, I don't want to call a human being a lump, but for descriptive purposes, technical purposes, he was more of a lump than a differentiated person. And I want to add one more piece, and then please go ahead. I saw a baby crawling very energetically in the airport, and he was on not autopilot, but it was almost as if, I don't know, it was just such a natural process. And he was enjoying himself. So just something that you mentioned all the time. He was not exerting. And you know what he would do? He would crawl, not frantically, but very very concertedly, and then he would sit up. He'd sit back on his haunches, recover, and then go back to it. It was exactly as you described. And this is just an intuitive feeling, but maybe you could tell me. It was clear somehow intuitively to me that crawling was strengthening his diaphragm. So I'm sorry I did a lot of interruption there, but when you talk about the connection between movement and the development of the diaphragm, this is a huge thing, and it's so obvious in the infant, I think, but not so obvious in the adult. So I'm sorry I cut you off, and I apologize, but you were talking about the fact that we're a spring, and that the spring-like movements in our body work with the breath. And when you say the breath, you're really talking about the breath mechanism, which is really largely the diaphragm.
And I'm talking about also the movement throughout the body of all the fluids. Okay. So the gentle stretching and releasing, and gentle stretching, releasing. So those electromagnetic properties are heightened and alive. So everything connects beautifully with everything else. And in fact, that's what you feel after a nice walk. You feel connected. You feel warm and connected.
If you've walked the way that you propose.
Yes.
When I got to tell you, and I should have told you this right away when we got on the phone. I learned some very good walking from Jonathan, the man that we spoke with a while back, and it helped me tremendously. Adding the piece that you showed me, it's like floating on. Floating on air doesn't even begin to do it justice. It's energizing.
It is because you are creating a wave. So there's a natural momentum of the internal fluids and properties of the body, which is swinging one leg just nicely on its spring in response to the other leg. So you don't really have to labor at it at all. It just feels good.
Well, the other more important thing is when you roll forward and you come off your toe, the weight of your body is forward. It's not backward, and you have to sort of, bring it along.
Yes.
You're always, in fact, I almost feel like, my God, I could walk right through a wall. I'm moving with such momentum, even though I'm not running, and yet I have almost the momentum of running, even though I'm walking.
That is, well, so walking, skipping, and running are all on the same continuum, aren't they? The same spectrum. That's how the baby finds it. That's how the infant discovers this. It's not something different that you do with your body, ideally. That's what makes it very beautiful. And what I do with all the people I'm working in this way is I break it down further and further into its component parts, so that I look and see where they can go so far, but then they're thrown, and part of the spring gets stuck and has to be again suddenly supported by superficial muscle, because otherwise it would be too far and you'd feel you were going to fall over. So then we stop there and we come back and we go over a rhythmical application of that motion. So again and again and again, until that rhythm becomes very nice. And it's again working on the whole body, because ultimately you bring your shoulders in as well, and this just floats as well. You can feel your joints waking up, your shoulder waking up, your neck waking up, and this is the health that was sort of given to us just by motion. Motion itself should provide our health.
It has to be. How I always ask this question: how did we last this long as a species? All these thousands of millennia, or however long it is, without cars and without antibiotics and without central heating and without factory farms. We survived. How the heck did we do it? We did it because we're designed to survive. We're designed to flourish.
And a very good indication of this, well, I think when I was in South Africa, okay, and John was building the clinic there. So he had a lot of Zulu laborers who was teaching how to do this, and they were tall and well formed, and they ate, and they had very little to eat in the way of meat or anything like this. They couldn't afford anything like that. Mostly it was mealie and tea with rather a lot of sugar in it, but they walked for miles. They walked for miles, and that's what. So the oxygenation of the body maximized the nutritive potential of those fruits.
Yeah, this is something I think it's so hard. It's initially going to be hard for people to wrap their minds around, that oxygen is the most important nutrient. And if they have an abundance of it, they don't need to have 1,000 milligrams of this and 10,000 milligrams of that. And we couldn't have survived all these millennia with that kind of nonsense.
This contrasted very much with the white South African, who was very heavy, overbuilt,
well fed.
Yes, and didn't really move very much at all, unless they might have gone to the gym. But that's not walking, and often not that fit. And aging more quickly, and eating lots and lots of meat, because it's very customary to eat a lot of meat if you're a male African.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, which body would you prefer?